Hello, I'm Swati Sengupta, author of Rebellion in Ranchi. My book is set in Ranchi 1915 and it is broadly based on the events of the Tana Bhagat movement that took place in present day Jharkhand, then Bihar. Did you know that the Tana Bhagat movement is often seen as one of the first non-violent movements against the British in India? Once the non-cooperation movement was announced in 1920, the Tana Bhagat movement merged into it as they shared common principles of non-cooperation and non-violence. Have you read Rebellion in Ranchi? Do read the book and all the other books in the Songs of Freedom series.
The song Vande Mataram, written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee, inspired many Indians to get involved in the freedom movement. For that reason, the British were afraid of the song, afraid of its power, and so they banned it. You couldn't listen to it, you couldn't sing it, you couldn't even own a gramophone record containing the song, or you would be imprisoned. That's the power of words and of music.
I want to talk about Charles Tegat, the police commissioner, in my book, Conspiracy in Calcutta. He's a real character, and I included his story in the book because he's very interesting as well as terrifying. He used to do his own spying, and the revolutionaries hated him. So there were 6 assassination attempts which he survived. He also had a pet dog that he carried on the bonnet of his car, as well as he kept a diffused bomb as a paperweight.
Hi, I'm Aditi Krishnakumar. That year at Manikoil begins when the protagonist Raji, along with her mother and sisters, flees Madras because of the threat of invasion during World War II. This was a very real fear at the time. I've heard stories of families who lived all along the coast and ran away, sometimes leaving the silver behind. Fortunately, a sea invasion of India didn't take place. But there was a land invasion, when the Imperial Japanese army marched into the northeast. They were turned back after major defeats at the battles of Imphal and Kohima.
One of the joys of writing historical fiction is the research. Research throws up the most incredible nuggets, not chicken nuggets, but nuggets of information that are like gold to a writer. And I found so many of them while I was writing my book, Chapati Cooking Club. One of them was the role of women in the 1942 Quit India movement. When the Quit India movement was announced, most of the leaders who were male were carted off to jails across the country. It was then that large amounts of women across the country, across the ages, came forward and took the underground movement upon themselves to keep the movement alive. One of them, of course, was Usha Mehta, who inspired the book, and there was 17-year-old Kanaklata Barua from Assam. There was 73-year-old Matangini Hazare, and then there was even Kuttimalu Amma, who actually led a procession holding a baby in her arms. Yay for girl power.
Hello, I'm Lavanya, and I'm the author of A Demon in Dandi, which is part of the Songs of Freedom series. Now, we've all heard of the Dandi March, but did you know that a group of teenagers played a very important role in the success of the Dandi March? Now, these were the Arun Tukdi, a group of student volunteers from Gujarat Vidyapeeth, and their job was to go ahead of the march from village to village, setting up camp in each place where Bapu and the marchers were scheduled to make a halt. They had to organize shelters, dig toilet trenches, organize food, maybe cook food, organize clean water, a place to pray, a place for prayer. When they weren't doing all this, they were expected to go through the village conducting elaborate surveys. And when they weren't doing that, they were expected to keep a daily record of their activities, a diary. They were expected to do some spinning, promote khadi, and they were expected to be engaged in prayers. Now, that's a tall order for anyone at any age, and these were teenagers. And they got it all done. They got the job done, but sadly, they're almost forgotten today in most historical record. But here's your chance to find out all about the Arun Tukdi and some interesting facts about the Dandi March and some fictional hijinks that these boys in the book get up to.
It is August 1947. India is about to become a free nation. But Jammu and Kashmir is not a part of India yet. The ruler of this kingdom of Jammu and Kashmir, named Maharaja Hari Singh, wants to stay independent and turn his kingdom into the Switzerland of the East. But a few months after that, something very dramatic takes place in the valley. An attack from Pakistan in pine forests just like this that completely changes the history of Jammu and Kashmir. And that precisely is the backdrop of my book, The Battle for Baramulla, a story where a young girl named Zuni witnesses something very suspenseful that is about to change the story of her land.
Hey Hannah here. My book Postcard from the Lushai Brigade features an incredible historical figure that I'd like to share with you. Her name is Ropwiliani, the fearless Mizo widow chief. She was famous for her strong stance against the British rule in the Lushai Hills and how she refused to bow to their demands. She was eventually captured and imprisoned by the British in Chittagong jail. Even while in prison, she refused to eat or touch any food served to her by the English. She was even offered a small job in the prison office as a sign of respect for her being the chief, but she refused this offer as well and continued to stand her ground till her very last breath.
If you've read The Letter to Lahore, you know of Samuel Stokes, only American to be charged with sedition and imprisoned during India's struggle for freedom, as the person who brought red delicious apples to Shimla and the person who helped abolish Bigar system there. But did you know that he was a champion for girls' education? In 1923, Samuel Stokes set up Tara Primary School, and in 1924, he established the Tara High School, which specifically encouraged girls to come and study alongside boys in a time when girl education was unheard of.
The burning of the Mannargudi railway station near Tanjavur, which forms an important part of my book, The Train to Tanjore, is a historical fact and which is not very well known. The people who were protesting against the British as part of the Quit India movement in 1942 in the South actually burnt the station to show their displeasure towards the British government. But the British officials actually did not restore the station for a long while so as to inconvenience the people of the area and as a form of punishment, because Mannargudi railway station was a very important link in the railway line between Needamangalam and Tanjavur and basically in the South. So please read the story to know more about it.